Yo, what's the dealio, man? Listen, you already know what time it is, man. You already know I got a straight banger for you today, all right? So check it out. We got the small account challenge video, all right? Now, what did I say? I said every week I'm going to break it all down for you. I want to spend a lot of time on technicals because I have to break down these trades and what happened, all right? So we got the spreadsheet right there, right? It has all of the trades and everything. I mapped everything out. I got all my entries and exits down. So basically, you could look at this as like a back testing for this small account challenge. All right. So before we get into it, I will say be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. All right. We just started this 52-week small account challenge a week ago. All right. So this is week 2. All right. And what did I say? I said it's going to be some L's. It's going to be some wins. Growing a small account is not easy. That's why a lot of people like to start with $2,000, $3,000 because some of the trades that you could take with a larger account you can't really take with a small account. And then when you think about risk management as well and not trying to lose it, that's an added barrier to the whole situation. Okay, so growing a small account, it's not always the easiest thing. It's not impossible, but it's definitely challenging. And that's why I did this, because I said I wanted to challenge myself, right? So if you guys want to get a brokerage account with SoFi, be sure to click the link in my description. Or if you want to open up a bank account and get a high yield savings account and grow your money without having to do anything, then be sure to click the link below in the description as well. All right, you'll get $25 of stock if you go through my link, or you'll get a $25 bonus, and you will get an increase on your APY percentage if you get a high yield savings account. All right, so click the link in the descriptions, and let's do that. Now, I'm gonna pull up this spreadsheet, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, y'all. So we're gonna break all of this stuff down because I always say I like to be real transparent with it. All right, so check this out. So we have right here, these are the charts that I gotta show right here. All right, so like last week we was 1 for 1, and then this week, this is where we at. I had a CNC call, right? A CNC call. And this CNC call, I entered the stock at 28.80, and then I bought one contract for $110, and then I got out of the trade the next day at 29.19, and that was $124 profit. All right, so that was a $14 profit that I made there. And if you do 14 divided by 124, that was a 10% profit, okay? And there's a story behind all of these trades, all right? So we're going to talk about it. And then we got Webull. I got into a Webull call. When I got into the Webull call, I bought in for $79, right, per contract. I got in at the stock at $13.25. And then I got out at $12.97, right? And then I lost some money there. I lost $22 off of that contract. It was like, I think it was like 31% there. The next trade, I got into IREN, got in at 28.93 puts. The contract was 135. I was pretty confident in this trade, and I got out at 28.40. And then I sold it for 150, right? And I made $15 profit on that one. That was like 20%, I believe. Okay. And then Marvel, I bought in at 64.20, the stock price. The contract price was 57. I ended up getting 2 contracts, right? Because they were $57 per contract. I was pretty confident in this trade, and I'm gonna show you guys why, right? And then what ended up happening, I took an L on that one. I got today's expiration. Right now is Friday. It's Saturday on this video, but I'm making this video Friday night. So I got the contracts for the next day, and then the next day, it did not make the move I was looking for. Now I may re-enter next week and get it 2 weeks out and recoup my money back, right? But I did take an L on that, ended up losing $87 out of the $112, $114 that I invested. So that was a pretty nasty loss in regards to the account. It's not a lot of money, but at the end of the day, in relevance to the actual account size, it was a horrible loss on my end. Okay. So with that being said, that's all of the trades. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go through all of the trades on the charts so that you guys can see exactly what happened and what I did. All right, so before we go to the charts, I'm gonna show you. So we got into, let me pull it up real quick. So we got right here, right? So I had got into this IREN call right here. This was a put. This is actually my favorite trade of the week, right? 135, and then ended up selling it a little bit later on that day for 154. Okay, and then we got the other trades as well. So we're gonna go to the charts. I know that this is the most important part, is the charts, so that we can all ensure that we learn what we need to learn. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the charts right here, and then we're gonna break every single trade down. So we're gonna start with CNC. All right, so let's start with CNC. Right. All right. So we got CNC. It's going to be right here. Okay, so I took entry on CNC last Thursday, I believe. This was on the 29th, so I believe it was on Friday. All right, on Friday, okay. This is the 30 hourly. Let's go to the 30-minute. Okay, so this is on the 30-minute right here. So I took entry on CNC right here. Oh no, right here. I'm sorry. Right here. It rolled up and then it closed. Right? This was on Friday, so the whole weekend had went by. 3 days had went by. The next day it opened up and then it came down, came up, came down, and then it started to go up. Right? But around here it was rejecting real hard. So because this is a small account, I was like, I'm not going to chance this. I'm going to take the small amount that I made, which was like, what, 11, 12%. And I said, I'm going to build upon this, right? So I exited right here. It came down a little more, and then it finally ended up pushing up, right? And I was like, dang. So it is what it is. It ended up coming up here, right? It hit $30, right? And then you see a couple days later, it sold off nasty. Right there, right? And if we go to the daily time frame, you can see that it pulled up here and then it rejected right there. So once we get above this level, because you see it rejected right there, once we get above this level right here, I'm probably going to re-enter, or I might re-enter in next week, and then ride it back up again, see if we break through. If we break through, I'll stay in and then ride it a little bit higher. Okay. So that was CNC, right? The next one we have is Webull. All right, let's go to Webull. So if we go to Webull, go to BULL right here. All right. Webull, we go to the 30-minute. Okay. So here's what happened on Webull. I took an entry right here. All right, bounced off of support. Boom, it came up. This is a 3 candle right here. When I saw that 3 candle, and then I saw that 1, I was like, all right, perfect. We got a 3-1-2 combo per the strat. We're going to blast off, and then we're going to break above this resistance, and then I'm going to plan on exiting. Right after we broke this resistance, I was looking to break this resistance right here. And then if we could get up here by the end of the week, I was like, okay, Weeble could touch about 1428. That was my target, right? 1428 or 1450, right? So I entered in right here. It pulled back on us, bounced off support, came back up. So I stayed in. Now, when I did get in this, I accidentally overpaid for my contracts. I got in at like a little bit higher than the ask, right? So when it came up here, I was barely in profit, right? So I was probably up about 2 to 3% at the end of this day right here. All right. And so then opened up, rejected, boom, came right back down. So I was like, dang, right? So I was being patient. And then when it came over here, I ended up getting out because it broke below this support right here at the end of the day. And I didn't want to chance it coming lower, right? And then look what happened. It came back up, but it didn't come up any higher. So I wouldn't have been in profit, right? I entered in right here. It came up, 10 cents higher of my entry, right? Wasn't in a profit because I overpaid for the contract. And then look what happened. Rejected, consolidated the rest of the day. The next day, boom, came down. So look, it broke below the level, bounced, came back up, waited a day, and then it finally broke below that level, and then it came all the way down to 1257, right? So this is still a good trade or a good stock long term, but when we're talking about trading like shorter term options, you got to be a little bit careful with your expiration dates and kind of where you're at, right? So that was that. So I took an L on that one, right? So we got one win, one L. And then we had IREN and MRVL. So let's go to IREN. If we go to IREN, this was a banger, okay? This trade, I should have stayed in longer, right? But let's go to IREN. I got it off the 4-hour time frame. So I saw this candle right here, right? This candle right here. This was a 3-bar to the downside. This is a bearish engulfing basically, right? On the 4-hour. When I saw this candle right here, when you zoom out, right? When you zoom out, it hasn't touched anything higher, right? So I was like, oh, we real high. And they just had earnings. They beat earnings, right? And they had a gap to the downside. So I was like, we could be coming down to about $25, right? But because also the market been a little bit back and forth, right? I wasn't trying to overstay my welcome in this type of trade. So I saw that 3-bar off the 4-hour and I took entry right here at the top of this this candle right here on the 4-hour, right? And I stayed in it and I wrote it down. And I wrote it down to about right here and I got out. And that was like 20% on that trade, like 19, 20%. Obviously it did go lower, but it wicked. And then boom, boom, the next day it really came down all the way down to 2607. And then the next day it ended up coming down to 2542, right? And I know people will be like, why didn't you stay in? So the thing about it is when you have like the way that the market is right now, it is up and down and is very volatile. And because I have a small account, it's not like I can add to my positions and things like that. So I have to be very mindful of being able to take profits and not. When you have a small account, you do have to be mindful of these things because if it does wick and it goes back in the opposite direction, it may never come back down to where you wanted it to go, right? So with a small account, I would rather just take 10, 15%, right? And keep adding on those small wins. And then over time, it may take a little bit longer to get to where I want to get to. But if I do that, then I know that I'll get my bigger trades as time goes on, right? So did that and I scooped up like 20%, okay? So that was IREN. And then we got MRVL, all right? Now this is what took me out, right? In this account. And I was like, all right, so we got MRVL and let's go to MRVL. Okay, so watch this. So you can look at this on a 4-hour. So I took an entry on MRVL. So number one, look at this chart right here, right? It sold off, right? It sold off. When did it sell off? It sold off on Thursday, last Thursday. Okay. Sold off all the way from 77, sold off right here. Had earnings, came down, right? Started to come up, rejected, came down, started to come up again. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a grand slam, right? This is going to be a grand slam. So got in. I saw this 3-bar, 2-bar. So I was like 322, break past this resistance, blast off, right? We was going to go to 66 and then we were going to go to $69. So I took an entry in right here and look what happened. Boom. Came up here and then the next day it just rejected off. It was really trying hard. If you go to the 15-minute today, because I entered in on Thursday, right? I entered in on Thursday. So look what happened. So I took that entry, right? Took the entry right here. End of the day, well, it came up and then it came down, right? End of the day, I was already down in the trade. Next day, look, it was trying to break that resistance, trying to break that resistance, trying to break that resistance. If we would have got above here or opened above here, and in pre-market, we were there. If we would have opened above here, this thing would have blasted off, okay? But look what it did. It rejected, and then it ended up coming down, right? So when I finally saw it giving out and coming down, I just got out right here, cut my losses, and I was done with it, okay? And so I lost $87 on that one because I got 2 contracts, not 1, all right? So, so those are all of the trades that we took this week, okay? I said I was going to be very transparent with you guys, and that's what I'm doing, right? I'm giving you how much money that I made, how much money that I lost, and all of that stuff, right? So if you look on like the spreadsheet right here, we lost a total of $80 total with the wins and the losses, okay? Oh, my bad. If you go to right here, right, we have total of negative $80 right there. Okay. I like spreadsheets because spreadsheets, there's a lot of data. Like if I'm holding a trade right now, it's going to look different inside the app. So the spreadsheets, it's like black and white. I get to show you exactly what happened, right? Wins and losses. So that's what happened with this week. So I haven't added any money to the account to trade with. All right. So what's going to happen is this week I am going to focus on I may get back into Marvel longer term, and I also may re-enter CNC longer term. Well, not longer term, but maybe about 2 to 3 weeks out, and I may just sit on those right there because I'm very confident in those with the direction. But I do think that it might have needed a little bit more time. Well, not might have. Marvel needed a little bit more time. I should have stayed in CNC a little bit longer, and I would have been able to max out that profit, right? But that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with everything that happened because I know what I'm doing and I know what's going on and I know exactly what happened. All right. So this week we're gonna have a little bit of a different approach. But I wanted to be transparent and let you guys know. And that's what this small account challenge is all about, right? It's easy to start with 5K, right? And grow it with 5K because you could use different strategies. But starting with 500 is no joke. All right. It is a challenge and there's not a lot of things that you can do. For me, it's like, okay, you could either, risk more on your account and potentially lose more, or you could just slow and steady, have good risk management with a small account and go from there, right? But because I gave myself 52 weeks, I'm not in a rush. This is not a how fast can I make this money? It's what can we do in 52 weeks going slow and steady, right? That's my goal with this account challenge. That's what I got my other accounts for, right? Maybe a little bit more risky and stuff like that. So I hope that made sense, and I hope that was helpful for you guys, all right? Like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, go get into this world, because your head is a dangerous place to live, all right? And also remember, the more you study, the less you worry, all right? I'm gonna catch you guys on tomorrow's video, right? We're gonna be getting ready for the new week tomorrow, all right? Y'all stay smooth, and I'm gonna holler at you tomorrow. Peace.